Hi everyone, my name is Rory Yakubov and I'm a math teacher at Old Bridge High School in New Jersey. This video is going to guide you through how easy it is to set up a Quizlet account and how teachers can really use Quizlet to set up classes, assign study sets for their students, and keep them fully updated. I know right now with the craziness of either remote learning, hybrid learning, maybe you're fully in your classroom as a teacher. I myself am going to be hybrid this fall and I'm pretty nervous about it, but Quizlet is a resource that I used back in the spring when we started remote learning, and it's a resource I'm going to continue to use all throughout my time. So I have a Quizlet account myself. I actually used the free version. Quizlet's free, guys. I used the free teacher version for about a full year, and I got so much amazing use out of it. After a year, I paid for the educator account, and there's definitely a lot of perks to that. And I'm going to get to that in a little while as I show you how easy it is to set everything up. What I do strongly suggest as you're watching this video is you maybe split your screen and have this video on one side of your screen, and then maybe go ahead and pull up a new tab so you can set up your account with me. Or if you already have a Quizlet account and you're not sure though how to make some of the best study sets you possibly can make, open up your account and follow along with me. Okay, so I'm at the regular just Quizlet.com page. I've logged out of my account just so I can show you what options you have. So when you go to the website, you'll see you can get started. You can click I'm a teacher or I'm a parent. And of course, you're going to want to click on I'm a teacher, right? Because if you're a teacher watching this and you want to set up a teacher account, you're good to go. And it says, take your students' success to the next level, sign up, it's free. So definitely you're going to want to go ahead and do that. Now, when you sign up, you can either use your Google account, you can sign up through Facebook, or you can use any other email that you may have here. I would set up a username that you know your students are going to easily be able to find you with. So when I made my Quizlet username, I made it my last name, which is Yakubov, and then the word math at the end. So it was just simply Yakubov Math. And it's really easy, as long as they know how to spell my name, to find my Quizlet study sets and then study however they want to from those study sets. So I would definitely suggest when you make a username as a teacher, make it something that you know is going to be very easy for your students to find, because there's a lot of users out there and we want to make sure our students find you and they don't find someone else's sets. Once you sign up and you're good to go, so I'm going to go ahead and log in myself. That's my username, Yakubov Math. I'm going to show you what my Quizlet account looks like. So when I started creating study sets, I was teaching Algebra 1. And while I was teaching Algebra 1, I had all of my lessons already in that numbered order, like lesson 1-1, lesson 1-2, lesson 1-3, and so on. So that's how I started organizing my sets. And I also started organizing my sets based on chapters. So something that would be really good for you if you're starting to build study sets as a teacher is to start by naming your study sets in such a way that they become organized in a good list. So right now my study sets are listed alphabetical. They can also be sorted by latest. Whatever the last set was that you made will show up first. Alphabetical is always the way I sort my list, though. I like them to be in this order. So my students log in, they can see all of my chapter reviews. I have them posted for the entire year, which is always something parents love to see, because now a student never has to know, what do I need to study for this test? What do I need for that? It's already all there. You can even see above each study set how many problems I've entered in. So 84, 62, 149, 184. Now that may seem kind of overwhelming. Oh man, am I really expecting my students to do 184 terms? No, but if they wanted to, they could. They could go through all these problems. They have so much to practice from, and it kind of gives me this really good experience for my students where they have a goal, they can do all the problems, or they can do however much they feel, but at least I've provided it for them. So all of my chapter tests are organized in order. Then I have my final exam review, my midterm review. Also, because I teach a CP class, a college prep course, which is considered our regular level, and an honors class, I do have different sets and I just label them simply at the end. But it's really easy for my students, no matter which course they're in, to find that study set. So definitely The way you organize your study sets is really, really important. After all of that, I have all of my quizzes in order. Now it just happens to be alphabetically that, chapter comes before the word quiz. So all my quizzes are here. I started building some geometry study sets this year, but I kind of dropped off on it. So I have a few. But then once I get past that, starting here at lesson 1-1, these are all of my Algebra 1 study sets. And I have them in order for the entire school year. So lesson 1-1, you can see. So it's really easy if a student needs to go to a specific study set and they want to find it. They're not just looking for the words in the study set. They're looking for the lesson number in front. And so having that lesson number is a really easy way for you to make sure that all of your study sets are nice and organized and, again, easy to find. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to get a link for one of these. You can drop it into Microsoft Teams. You can drop it into Google Classroom or whatever platform you're using, and then we're good to go. Now, these were just some test ones that I was doing, and I'm going to show you that in just a little bit, but let me scroll back up to the top. So here is my account. I did add a picture of myself in it. Having a picture is always good too, because then it confirms for your students that they know it's you, it's your study sets. And you'll see I've created 139 study sets, but not all of those study sets were created by themselves. The way I created those quiz study sets and the chapter study sets is actually by taking the separate lessons and combining them, which is another thing that I'm going to be showing you. Something else to notice here are classes. Now, I teach 5 classes. So here you'd be able to see what those 5 classes are. And you can see how many members, these are the students, are joined into those classes. What's really nice about setting up a class is that even though I have this long laundry list of study sets, not all of them are appropriate for all of my classes. So when I created, let's say, my Algebra Honors Period 9-10 class, I only dropped in 109 of those sets because the other however many, 30, have nothing to do with Algebra Honors. I don't want them to see my geometry sets and get confused. I also don't want my Algebra Honors classes to get confused and accidentally click on the CP midterm review or honors review, final exam review. So I definitely make sure that that's separate so that it's very good to go. Now, it's very easy to create a class. So over here, if you are in your account and you click classes, you can see I already have my classes set up here, but you can simply click create a class. So I'm going to make a brand new class right now, and I'm going to call it Algebra 1 CP Period 2. Now, you can enter description. I don't ever do that. It says allow your students to add study sets and add new members. I'm going to uncheck that. I really don't want my students to add other students in. It is selected for my school. Now, this school is there because that's the school when I registered as a teacher that I signed up with, and I'm going to create a class. So now Algebra 1 CP Period 2, that's my brand new class that I created. So now it's going to show me that I have 6 classes, which is correct. It says add an existing set or create a new one to share with your students. So right now I could go and I could click add a study set. I could click off as many of these as I wanted to. I could say, okay, I want them to have, lesson 2.8. I want them to have 7.3. It says here, allow class to edit. I'm going to click that. Class can edit. I don't want them to be able to edit anything. I want them to just get that study set. And I can go ahead and I can click on as many of these as I want to. But now what I want to show you is members. So the way kids will join your class is simply going to members. You go to members and you can take this link and you can simply copy it and you can drop that link in. Something else that your students can do to join that specific class is you can tell your students to go to your Quizlet page. Again, also notice your Quizlet website is quizlet.com/ whatever your username is. So that's a really easy way for students to get there. But students can just go to your username. They can click on classes. Notice it says 6 now. And then from there, they can click on Period 2. And on their end, as a student, it will say, there'll be a button that says request to join this class. And after they click that, the teacher gets a notification accepting that the student can join that class, and then they'll have access to all of those sets that you dropped in. So creating classes has definitely been a very big organizational tool that I've used. Also setting up the Quizlet study sets, like I mentioned before, using the same verbiage in the beginning so that they all are organized alphabetically is also super, super important. Okay, so I want to show you how easy it is to just set up a Quizlet study set. So up at the top, you have two options. You have search and you have create. So search is great because you can go ahead and type in a skill and you have access to all of the public study sets that other teachers have made. Or you can go ahead and click create, and create will let you make your own study set. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on create. And it really doesn't matter what subject you're teaching, whether it's math, it could be English, science, history, dance. You could really create a study set for anything, truly anything. So I'm going to create a study set right now, and I'm going to call it Solving Basic Equations. I can add a description saying this is a review of lesson, let's say 2.4. I don't have to add a description in, but let's say you just wanted to. Also notice it says saved just now. Quizlet is fantastic in that it will save every step of the way. So if you accidentally close your browser out, if you're working on a study set, creating it on your phone, it's automatically going to save everything for you. And then when you come back to it, it'll just be in your drafts, and then you can continue, just like an email. Now, you can actually import questions and terms and definitions straight from Word, Excel, Google Docs. I've actually never even done that myself because it's pretty easy just to type things in. But let's say you already had a spreadsheet of, vocabulary, words, and definitions. You'd really easily be able to transfer them in. You can put a diagram here up front if you want to have like a nice bold heading. I haven't actually done that, but it would be pretty nice of me to actually go back and enter things in. Now, term and definition. So if you are teaching any subject other than math, basically, you're going to want to put your vocabulary term here on the left, and you're going to want to put your definition here on the right. And it says it right underneath, so there's absolutely no confusion. So if I wanted to say, a product is my term, and I would say the definition is the result from a multiplication problem. Oops, misspelled. And you can see it underlined for you, so it lets you know. All right, so I could put in terms and definitions. If I want to put in actual equations and problems, then I need to actually switch it the other way around. I need to put over here on the right actually the equation. So I'm going to type in x plus 3 equals 8. And I would put my answer over here on the left. X equals 5. So the reason for this is when you're studying through Quizlet, the definition is what pops up on your screen. And you have to know what the vocabulary term is. So if this is what pops up on your screen, you're going to look at this phrase, this definition, and then say to yourself, okay, what's the term? Oh, it's product. And that's how you're studying. So you would want x plus 3 equals 8 to be what pops up on your screen, and then be able to say the answer is, oh, x equals 5. So I could add as many of these problems in as I possibly could want. I even have options for text. I can make things bold. I can highlight certain things in colors. Like for some reason, if I wanted to highlight that little plus 3, I can make it highlighted. I could make the whole equation in bold. I could even add a voice recording if I wanted to. Quizlet will auto read all the problems to your students as well. There's a little microphone button. So if you really wanted your students to hear what the questions are saying, that's already something that's built in. Now, I mentioned before something about a paid teacher account. Right now, everything I'm showing you is completely free. But if you were to purchase the paid teacher account, which is just a one-time yearly subscription, you can actually add in images. So I can go ahead, click image here, and I can add in an image for this problem, or a diagram, a table, a graph of some sort, and really add to my study set. But here's what I want to do right now. I want to show you how quickly I can type in some problems. So x equals 6. Okay, x equals, let's do 6 minus x equals 4. You can see I'm just making some really silly, simple problems just because I want to show you what's about to happen. 4x equals 16, x equals 4. So you can see I keep typing in the problem on the right. Let's see, 5x equals negative 15, x equals negative 3. Add card. I'm going to show you a couple other things you can do. Notice I have it set to English. That was just because that was the language I set up when I created my account. But if you click on English, and I'm just going to move my screen over here, you have plenty of different languages, but you also have symbols for chemistry. You have symbols for math. So let's say I switched to math. What I could do is I could type in X, let's see, and I can show you all the symbols right now. These are the symbols that you get. This is actually superscript and this is subscript. So you can have your exponents. There are a couple fractions built in. You have an N for your exponent as well that you can use. You have some Greek letters. You have some other notation values that are really good for geometry classes as well. You have your integral, and all of these symbols are just beautifully here. So let's say I decided to say x, what symbol should I use? X squared. So I'm going to use this little square there, and you can see the exponent is now there. X squared equals 9. So then I can have as my solution x equals negative 3 comma positive 3. So I can have two answers there if I wanted to. And I'm just going to continue on. So let's say I did 4x equals negative 20. Move my screen back over. I love that I can move my face around. It's always good. But now something else I want to show you. So this last problem, I made the answer x equals negative 5. So let's say I made another problem and I said negative 30 equals 6x. And so that's also going to have the same answer of x equals negative 5. So when I type that in, look what happens. Both of these study sets get a yellow box around them, and they tell me it's a duplicate term. Now that's really, really helpful if you're trying to make all the problems have completely different answers. This will pop up and say to you, hey, there's an issue. Now, the good thing is for math teachers is that you can ignore this. It is totally fine for two separate problems to have the same answer. It's fine for when they're studying. It does not mess them up, I promise you. You can use them while you're doing Quizlet Live and they're playing an engaging game. I promise you, I've worked through this so much. It's all good. Okay, I'm going to make a couple last problems here because the more problems, like I mentioned before, the more I can show for you. I'm going to just put two more in. 4x equals negative 60. X equals negative 15. And let's do one more. Let's do 6x equals 12. So look what's going to happen. X equals 2. That's another duplicate term from earlier on. Notice where it's yellow, it's problem 12 that I made. It's a duplicate all the way from problem 4. So again, it lets me know, but I always just click ignore. It's fine. So now I've, let's say, made these 12 problems. I'm going to click create. Now, what's really nice about this is Quizlet is set up so nicely for a teacher that after you create a brand new study set, it's going to automatically say to you, hey, do you want to share this? Do you want to send it to someone? What would happen sometimes is I would make a study set and then I would immediately email it to one of my coworkers saying, hey, I know you're teaching the same lesson. Do you want to use the study set that I just made? You can copy the link for this study set and drop it right into one of your teaching platforms. There's also a direct integration into Google Classroom, which is really nice. If you are a Remind user, you can also click there, or you can go to Add to Class or Folder. So I'm going to show you what that looks like if I now click on Add to Class or Folder. It brings me to this screen. Now I can go ahead. Remember, I made this brand new class. I can click on it. When the plus sign turns to a minus, it means it's synced into that class. I can click on as many of these as I want to. Now, excuse me, there's no submit button. So once you do that and you go from plus to minus, you're good. It's synced in there. Let's say I just wanted to put it in that one class. I'm going to click my X, and now it's there. So here's what this now looks like, this study set. I'm going to go back to my account in just a moment, right now actually, just to show you. Whenever you create a set and you organize your study sets based on recent, you'll see that it's there. So I'm going to click back into this just to show you that it was on my main screen. So going back to solving basic equations. So now my students can study this study set in so many different ways. They can do flashcards. You can see it says 1 out of 12. They can write the answer in, which I don't usually use for math because I don't want them to write something a little differently and have maybe the text a little off. I'd rather use other things. Spelling, not really good for math. Test is fantastic. So look what happens when I use test. Now, you watched me create this study set. I did not do anything special at all. I simply made the study set right in front of you. And just by clicking on test, imagine this is a student going to that study site and clicking on test. It made 3 written questions for them to type the answer in automatically. It made 3 matching questions with even an extra possible answer. So look, here's the answers. They have to match with what equation that answer actually went with. Quizlet automatically made multiple choice questions for me. Now you may be saying, where did these answer choices come from? Quizlet took the problems, took all the answers, and scrambled them up for me automatically. So I didn't create any of this. Quizlet did. You saw exactly what I did. I just simply put in the problem and the answer. Quizlet did all of this work for me. So imagine a student now getting to practice like this. And also true-false questions. So now this test was designed perfectly. What I can do is I can go ahead and, let's say, answer some of this. So I'm going to type in my answer so you see what it looks like as a student. I'm going to match, but maybe I'll get some of these wrong. So I'm just going to type in some random letters just so we can see what that's going to look like. I'm going to click on some of these to be correct and some of them to be wrong. True, false, true, true, false. I'll click true just to make it wrong. Check answers. So look what happens now. A student takes that Quizlet. They can see their grade. They got a 50%. Oh no. They can see which questions they got correct, what their answer was. They also get to see which questions they got wrong and then what the correct answer should have been. So they get to see, I got problem number 1 wrong. I matched it up with B, but the correct answer was supposed to be C. So they get exactly their score immediately. You saw how fast that was. You saw how Quizlet put this together so quickly for me. And then the greatest part is a student can go back and they can simply just choose to do a test again. And when they click on, whoops, it says 50% last try. They can see that. And when they click on test again, sorry, I clicked spell. Common mistake, I'm clicking way too fast. So again, you can see on your screen, it says test 50% last try. So if they click on test, they are going to get a brand new test. It reshuffled everything. These are brand new problems that are matched up together, and they really just get a second opportunity. Now, tests can have up to 20 questions in them. Let's say you made a study set that had 50 problems in it. Quizlet will randomly pull 20 of those problems and put them into those categories for you and create that test, which is pretty incredible. Let's see. Learn is my favorite option. I kind of skipped over this right from the beginning. I went right to these others. But if a student clicks learn, learn is going to basically take those problems and the answers and put them into this multiple choice form. And what's really nice about it is it gives you a lot of data. So I really used this a lot when I was in my classroom because it was really easy for me to walk around, see how many questions were remaining, how many they were familiar with, and how many they mastered. Now, when a student gets a question right, so here 4x equals negative 60, and they click on x equals negative 15. That question, once they get it right, now goes into familiar. When they get that question again, when it randomly shows up again and they get it right for the second time, then it goes into mastered. And so the goal is to get all of those now 11 questions all the way down into mastered. So here it's 6. Result from multiplication problem is product. This is negative 3, positive 3. X minus 2. This is x equals 2. 1. So you can see the questions. Press any key to continue. Now, x minus 1 equals 5. X equals 6. Answer. Now that question I had answered as a multiple choice problem. Now I answered again for the second time in a different format, and now look, it's down and mastered. So you can imagine how successful this is for students when they get an answer right. Maybe they guessed and they got it right, and so it goes in familiar, but they have to be able to get that question right twice for it to go into that mastered group. And then once they are successful and they get all through mastered, then they are good to go. So definitely the test format, Learn, is fantastic. There's a couple games. The first game is Match. And Match is really nice for really friendly problems like what you see here on the screen. I wouldn't probably use Match if I was using a study set where the problems were very intense. But for this one, it's simply drag and drop. So x equals 5 goes with this. And once students are dragging and dropping and answering these problems, anything they get right disappears. Anything they get wrong, so I'm purposely going to match these up incorrectly, it goes red and it bounces right back. And so students can look at problems and simply match them up with the answers. Notice there's a timer on the side as well. It tells them their score, and actually what it will also do is it'll show them all the other scores from their classmates and tell them where they rank. So there's a nice little competition level that goes for that as well. So right now I own the leaderboard. It's obviously because no one else has used this Quizlet study set, and then we're good to go. All right, so you've seen a bunch of the options for definitely learning this. Another game option is Gravity, where students have to be able to type in the answer before the asteroid hits, and you can adjust the speed levels and everything like that, which is also pretty cool. Now, this last option, students don't get to see this option for live on their screens. It's only on the teacher accounts, and it's on the free teacher account as well. But live is all about playing an interactive game. And I have so much I'm going to share about Quizlet Live in a separate video of mine. Right now, it's really just an introductory video to have you get started as quickly as you possibly can. But Quizlet Live is probably one of the most engaging activities I've ever done in my classroom. And I've been teaching for 14 years. So I proudly share everything about Quizlet Live. And again, I'm going to save that for a separate video. But I hope this was enough information for you to get started, to set up your account, to make a pretty easy Quizlet study set, to start setting up your different class periods that you have and start dropping those study sets in those classes so you can stay nice and organized. Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of my little Quizlet mini tutorial series. In my previous video, I showed you how easy it was to set up an account, create classes, create a study set pretty easily, how easy it is to share that study set, also put that study set into your class periods that you set up, how easy it is to have your students actually join you in those classes, and a lot of little mix of things in between. So today I have a few things that I definitely want to show you. Number one, I want to show you what it would look like to find someone else's study set and actually copy it into your own account, edit it however you want, and kind of make it your own. I also want to show you how to merge study sets together. That's what I generally do. You saw in my previous video, each lesson has its own study set, and then from there, I simply merge them together and combine them and make a quiz study set or a test study set. So I'm going to show you that today as well. And then also, I want to show you what some of the extra features are about the paid teacher account. I mentioned it briefly before in my other video, but I didn't kind of go into some of the other details, and that's what I want to make sure I show you today. So first thing I want you to do, and again, I mentioned this in my other video, best thing you could do, guys, is split your screens right now and make sure you have my screen up with this video, and then maybe also on your screen another new tab so you can open up your Quizlet account and then kind of follow along with me so that you're preparing these study sets for whatever classes you teach. All right, so here I'm in my account, and I'm just going to click on my sets so you can see my page. Remember, your Quizlet page is simply quizlet.com/your Quizlet name. And as a teacher, make sure it's something really, really easy for students to find so that they can find it with no issue at all. So now, second thing is we are going to go ahead and we're going to click search. Now, as teachers, we are super busy. We have a lot on our plates. We have time to create materials for sure. I mean, that's our job. But also what's really nice is being able to share responsibilities with a coworker. If I make a study set, I'm going to share it with a coworker. If they make a study set, they're going to share it with me. That would be the ideal situation, I would think, for sure. But sometimes we run out of time and we just need to find someone else's study set. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to find a study set that someone else made that they put out publicly. So you can always make your study sets private. That means only you have access to them. Or it could be public where I could go ahead and find them. My account is fully public. So if you were an Algebra 1 teacher and you said, hey, you know what? I'd love to create my Algebra 1 study sets, but I also see that Rory has them all made for the entire year. You could go ahead and do whatever I'm showing you right now with any of my study sets that I have, or even all of them. You do have to do them one by one, but once you get into the swing of things, it's super simple. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to imagine that I need to teach a lesson on, let's just do something super simple, solving absolute value. And I'm going to leave it open, whether it's, equation, something like that. I just need to do something with solving with absolute value. So I'm going to get to this page, and here what I'm going to see is that first there are sets that are really amazing sets, and they're best. This one's a bestseller. They happen to be sets that you have to pay for. But if you scroll down, you'll start to see sets that you can see are created from a teacher. So here I'm looking at this set, and I can see what some of the problems and the answers are. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, these are absolute value inequalities. That looks good. This one here says solve absolute value equations. So I might say, you know what, that's actually what I wanted. I wanted to have a study set of solving absolute value equations. So I'm going to go ahead, and I can see the teacher's name who created this. I'm going to click on it. And then after I click on it, I'm going to be able to scroll down, and I'm going to be able to see the 12 problems that are in this study set. So I get to see each one, and I can say, hey, you know what? This looks like exactly what I want, instead of me typing this in, which doesn't take a lot of time. But let's say, again, you're pressed for time. This looks like exactly what I want, and it's created by this other person. I could say, you know what? I really want to add this to my list of study sets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click the, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign, and I could directly add it to one of my class periods and say, hey, this is a study set that I want you to do. Or my other option, is to click on customize. And if I click on customize, it looks like a copy, like a duplicate button. Okay, it's just taking a moment. From customize, now look, the title is here. This looks exactly what it looks like when we create our own study set. All of the problems and answers are here. Now, me personally, I'm probably going to want to switch the order because I like to have my problems on the right and my answers on the left. Okay, but this looks good. This little switcheroo button here, the little flip, it says flip terms and definitions. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And once I click that, it's now set up the way I want it, where it's problem on the right, answer on the left. Also, I probably would want to go ahead and just add in some extra spaces wherever I need. That's the beauty of this, guys. Everything is completely editable. Okay, if I didn't like that the solutions were just listed like this with the braces, I go ahead and type in x equals in front. I could remove problems, I could add problems, I could change anything I want. So you saw how easy it was. I just typed in exactly what I was looking for, and then I simply go ahead and fill whatever I want. I could use the highlighting features, any of my other bold or italics. And let's say I just went ahead and I finished that up. Now, once I click create, okay, it's now going to save this study set under my name. So now solving absolute value equations, this 12 problem study set, and again, just like after we created a study set, it lets you share it immediately, post on Google Classroom, on Remind, I can copy the link, anything like that. And now it's showing that it's created by me. So I copied it, I edited it just a little bit, and now it's under my name. And my students will be able to do any of the features that I showed you in the previous video about using write, test, matching game, anything like that. If I go back to my Quizlet account, my study sets, I will see that solving absolute value equations is in my list. If I have it sorted alphabetically, I'd have to go all the way down to where S is, and that might take a little bit of time. You can also filter. So if I had solving absolute, you'll see it'll pop up right here, and I can access it pretty quickly instead of scrolling. You can also always sort by latest. So since this was the latest one I did, it says a few seconds ago, that was the study set that I need. Awesome. Now, let's say I have this study set, or I don't need it anymore. Let's say I have this study set, I don't need it anymore, I don't want it in my list. You always have the option in your triple dots to just go ahead and delete it. So I'm going to delete this set, again, just to show you have that option. Just because you create a set doesn't mean it stays there. Doesn't mean it stays there forever. You can totally get rid of it. Okay, so now here's something else that I want to show you. Let's say that I am in my sets and I have all of these individual, I'm going to sort alphabetically, that's just my favorite way to go. I have all these chapter test reviews and I want to make a unit review. So I want to combine chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3 as kind of like a marking period review unit. Now, can you imagine how painful it would be to create a brand new study set and type in 147 problems plus another 201 plus another 137? I have no time for that. No one does. So here's how easy it is to take any of the study sets you've created and merge them together. And that's actually how I created these chapter test reviews. I took all of the lessons from chapter 1, I combined them together and made that chapter test review. So if you want to combine however many sets you want to do, you click on one of the sets that you want to combine into a bigger set. And then when you have your options here, okay, you're going to click on your triple dots and you're going to click combine. Okay, so combine takes you to the screen and it says you're currently combining one set. So chapter 1 test review expressions. So I want to go ahead and I want to combine it with chapter 2 test review and chapter 3 test review. All of my study sets are listed here on the right-hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find my algebra chapter 2 test. Oh, here's my algebra chapter 3 test. I'm going to go ahead, click the plus sign. Remember, there's no submit button for this. It's just once you click the X, the plus sign rather, you're good to go. And here's my chapter 2 test review plus. That was easy. So now it says I'm combining 3 sets. I've got 485 terms. That's a lot, but that's excellent, right? You can keep your students busy for days, weeks, whatever it is. So now here's where you have to just be a little careful. You don't want to click go right away. Go will create it as a mix of a problem set for you. But what I really want to do is I want to create a brand new set. So click on where it says cards in the drop down, click on create a set, and then click go. And what this is now going to do for you, it's going to automatically combine. Okay, and so it took those 3 chapter tests. You can see what it actually called it, and I'm about to change this in a moment. But you can see, oh my God, the amount of problems is insane. It's obviously going to be that 480 something amount of problems. I can go ahead, I can highlight all of this and call it my Algebra 1 Unit 1 review. Chapters 1, 2, and 3. I click create, and now I have that now combined merged study set. And I could do exactly what I did all the other times. I could send it directly. I could drop it into classes, add to class or folder. I could share it however I wanted to, or it can just sit inside my study set list. Okay, the last thing I wanted to really make sure I shared with you in this video are some of the features about Quizlet, the paid teacher version. So when I started using Quizlet in my classroom, it was because we had gotten a class set of laptops, and from having the class set of laptops, I really needed to make sure I used them the best, most efficient way, but also I wanted to find something where my students were using the laptops in class, but whatever program we were using, they could still use at home. And Quizlet was just the perfect match, because whatever study sets they were working on in class, they could work on at home on any digital device, especially their phones. So I really wanted to make sure that it was, the most accessible. When I started with the free version, I was doing everything that I'm showing you now. I was still merging study sets, creating them, finding other study sets, editing them. But along with the paid version, there's no ads on my screen. So for me as a teacher, when I'm working, the least cluttered possible is my ultimate ideal situation for creating these study sets. So when you look at my screen, you'll see there's no advertisements anywhere, which is just a little incentive bonus. The second thing that's also amazing is that when I'm creating a study set, now, along with the paid version, you can put in pictures. So I've created a lot of study sets where I've needed to add in pictures of tables, graphs, things like that. So when I go to create a new study set and I click here, image, and you'll only have this option with the paid version, I can search for an image that's already existing in the library. So search for an image. Okay, it says search Quizlet images. So let's say I'm going to just type in equation. I'm going to get some random images. Maybe it's something that I actually need or I could use. That's great. Okay. Or I can upload my own image. So let's say I really wanted to have my own images. I have all of my images, let's say in my pictures folder. Here I purposely just put one picture in. It's just of the coordinate plane. But now that picture is going to be in my study set. So here that image is there. I can click on the plus sign, and this is what it will look like for the students if they want to enlarge it. So I might say, maybe it's a vocabulary list thing, something like this, and I have something that says, what is the name of the diagram? And the answer is the coordinate plane. And I've put in pictures of graphs, I've put in pictures of tables, things like that. So I'm not going to save this study set, but I'm actually going to show you what some of my study sets look like that I have put in pictures so you can see what an impact it does have. So this is one of my study sets where I have a mix of problems where I typed the problem in with the answer about writing an equation of a line in slope-intercept form. And so most of them were typed, but then I did also add in pictures. What is the equation of the line? And students had to look at the graph and then be able to match it with that equation. So adding in pictures of tables has been super, super helpful. Again, what's nice is that you could use this study set and copy it into your account with even the free version, the teacher version. So you just need the paid version to create and have those images in and add whatever images in. But even with the free teacher account, you could copy this study set. and make it your own. You wouldn't be able to edit the pictures or change the pictures out. They just are permanently there, but that's completely up to you. And the last amazing option with Quizlet, the paid teacher account, is that when you're playing Quizlet live, students are able to pick their own groups. So Quizlet Live is such an amazing experience for students. They are assigned one of these study sets, and then they are put into groups automatically by Quizlet. And then they have to work as a group to answer the questions as quickly as possible. With the paid account, you can have students either get randomly put into groups, or you can have students actually choose their groups. Now, this past year when I did that, a lot of classes of mine loved getting to pick their own groups. But I had one class in particular, they hated it. They always just wanted to be randomly placed. So with the paid teacher account, you have that option. With the free account, they are only ever randomly placed, which works out really nicely anyway. But that's just definitely a key feature. Thank you so much for watching this video. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on my journey as I'm going through remote learning, and I'm always here to share. I have a lot of Quizlet videos also saved on my Instagram profile, so if you need any of that help, it is there for you. Thanks for watching. Bye.